Chapter 1. The Sterile Vault. There is a specific kind of silence that exists only in the presence of extreme wealth. It isn't peaceful. It's sterile. Heavy. Like the air inside a vault just before the lock snaps shut. For 3 years, I wrapped myself in that silence. I played the part perfectly. The quiet husband. The artistic recluse who married Evelyn Vance, the woman whose tech conglomerates dictate the daily flow of billions across 3 continents. To her board of directors, I was an ornament. A harmless, soft-spoken nobody she kept in the background. And I liked it that way. In a world this loud, obscurity is a luxury. But tonight, the silence broke. Evelyn stood by my mahogany desk, the heavy, tattered leather of my journal resting in her manicured hands. Her voice was like absolute zero, smooth, terrifyingly calm, and devoid of anger, but razor-sharp. She told me she found it under the eastern corner of the wardrobe because a loose floorboard had thrown off the trajectory of her automated cleaning drones. She admitted she had expected love letters or perhaps a hidden offshore account. Financial betrayal is a language she speaks fluently. But my notes were a dialect she didn't recognize. I didn't panic. I just watched her. Chapter 2. The Quantum Cipher. In her hands lay the recorded logistics of the Third Crusade of the Ashen Steppes, a campaign fought across an ocean of obsidian sand in a world whose sun burned out 1,000 millennia before this earth was even a cooling rock. On page 14, written in a cursive script using ink made from crushed nightshade and iron filings, were the names of 14 high-ranking dukes. Beside each name, a precise time, a location, and a single crossmark. It was the exact blueprint of a bloodless coup that overthrew a dynasty. Evelyn told me she had run the characters through her proprietary quantum cipher, taking 36 hours of continuous server processing to break the code. She noted that it was an archaic, multi-layered algorithmic cipher based on stellar alignment. But it wasn't just the language that fascinated her, it was the margins. On page 42, right next to a passage describing the containment of a localized plague, I had sketched a chemical compound, a synthetic, self-replicating polymer designed to completely stabilize lithium-ion degradation at extreme temperatures. Her aerospace division had spent $400 million last quarter trying to conceptualize exactly what I had drawn with a piece of charcoal. I set down my teacup, my hand perfectly steady. I told her, out loud, that she shouldn't have used the quantum servers for that. The architecture of that cipher is designed to loop. If her security team looked closely at the processing logs, they would notice the system didn't just decode it, it absorbed it. She asked me if I was threatening her network, her breath hitching for just a fraction of a second. For the first time, the corporate predator realized she might be standing in a cage with something much larger than herself. Chapter 3. Inverting the Board. I walked toward the window, looking out at the rain-slicked city lights, and told her no. I was simply telling her that human nature is terribly predictable. Whether a man holds a broadsword over a kneeling king or a short position over a rival tech firm, the pulse is the same. The fear is the same. I turned and looked at her. Really looked at her. For 3 years, I had watched her play the game of global monopolies, thinking she was a giant. But standing there, holding a book that contained the rise and fall of civilizations she couldn't even fathom, the power dynamic in the room didn't just tilt, it inverted. I asked her if she knew what I did to the Duke of Valeria when he tried to consolidate the grain supply to starve out the lower courts. She replied that my translation said I poisoned the wells. I corrected her gently. I didn't touch the water. I bought the transport routes. I let the grain rot in the sun while his armies waited for bread that was already paid for by someone else. Chapter 4. The Panama Playbook. Then, I laid out her own reality. I told her about her board of directors, the Vanguard Group and the Carver family, and how they were attempting a hostile takeover on Monday morning by quietly accumulating her Class A shares through a shell company registered in Panama. She stood frozen, asking how I could possibly know about Panama when that information hadn't even left her private encrypted terminal. I told her the truth, because I invented the strategy they were using against her. I wrote it down 300 years ago in the Empire of Oakhaven. They were executing my third playbook, and they were doing it poorly. Chapter 5. A New Order. Evelyn walked back to the desk and slid the heavy journal back toward me. Her voice dropped an octave, entering a territory of pure, calculated ambition. She explained that if the Carver family took the chair on Monday, they would liquidate her R&D sector and destroy everything she had built. She unscrewed a heavy metallic pen and placed it perfectly parallel to the ledger. She acknowledged that I didn't care about her money, realizing now that it wasn't a lack of ambition, but because her wealth was trivial to me. But she reminded me that I live in this world now, and if her empire falls, my quiet, comfortable sanctuary falls with it. I asked her if that was a request for counsel. She stepped closer, her eyes locked onto mine, refusing to back down from the ancient presence in front of her. She called it a merger. She asked me to teach her how to destroy them using my playbook, offering whatever resources this world could provide in exchange for saving her company. I picked up the pen and looked at her. I told her I didn't need resources. But if I was going to step out of the shadows and rewrite this market for her, things had to change. Tomorrow morning, when we walked into that boardroom, she would have to walk half a step behind me. She looked at me, paused, and agreed. Deal. The world thinks it understands power because it can count the billions in a bank account. They think the game is played on trading floors and inside glass towers. They're about to learn that the rules were written a long, long time ago, in blood, sand, and ink.